Hey, I'm Bill Rice, and I help founders and startups build go-to-market strategies so that you can focus on building exceptional products and services. And today, I want to talk about 10 budget-friendly marketing tactics specifically for startups. So let's just hop into the list. Number one, first and foremost, I always like to start here. Email your professional and personal friends and colleagues. Oftentimes, when I'm starting something up, or I've even been in a dip in some of the startups that I've been a part of, this has always been my golden strategy. Just reach out to a handful of those contacts. Could be 20, could be 100, whatever that number is. It usually yields me at least one or two good revenue generating sales. Number two, LinkedIn post. LinkedIn, again, you've probably already connected together a network of your ICP. By the nature of how startups begin, you're probably surrounded by a bunch of those ICPs. So just simply starting to post on LinkedIn will activate that audience, make them aware of what you're doing. Too often we forget to tell the people around us, again, both professionally and personally, that we're doing something different. And so just informing them of what you're doing and actively delivering value out into that channel will ultimately act as some of the most effective marketing. Number three, video. You don't need a lot here. A lot of people get stuck on what they actually need to produce video. Your iPhone, or in this case, I got the video on my MacBook Air. All that works just fine. Loom, iMovie, some simple editing software, and you're all good to go. Get that video published. And again, a lot of different formats, a lot of different places. LinkedIn's becoming more robust. I would definitely advocate there. YouTube, second largest search engine, so obviously you should be posting on YouTube as well. Number four, Substack. Just start an email newsletter. The reason I say Substack specifically is you need absolutely no technical skills. You just need to start delivering value by showing people what you're an expert at, and again, informing them of what you're doing in the space as you're developing your product. Start to build that email newsletter, tell people about it, get people on it. But the neat thing about Substack specifically, and some other products that are competitors are starting to duplicate that, it has a built-in flywheel now. It's actually got some mechanisms by which people can discover and recommend your newsletter, and that will make you more effective at building that email list from scratch. So Substack, again, free, easy to get started, and owned media, right? So it's without even having to have a website, you can start with Substack and it can become your website and give you something that you actually own, in this case, that list. Number five, podcast. You could obviously start your own. That can be a little bit intense, but even if you do it on your own and you just, again, get in front of the mic and start doing that, I'd advocate doing podcast as kind of a hybrid of video on YouTube as well as a podcast, and there's some software that makes that really easy to format. But don't think you have to actually start something. There is so many different podcasts that are being started up that these podcast folks that own these, that are hosting these, are starving for content. They want people to interview, and founders oftentimes make really interesting interviews. Founder stories, background, what you're doing to develop the product, again, sales and marketing activities. So look around for podcasts that you're probably already listening to, and potentially you can become a guest there, and that will, again, effectively act as marketing, building out that brand awareness and gathering audience and ICP around you specifically. Before we go to the rest of the list, if you're enjoying this and you want more lead generation tactics from me, I would encourage you to like and subscribe to our video channel here. All right, on to number six, webinars. Again, very similar contextually to podcast. So again, there's lots of webinars. Most of the webinars are actually produced by other SaaS or product-oriented companies, or maybe service-oriented companies. Look for some adjacent technology partners and see if you can go onto their webinars. Again, same sort of problem. Webinars are often sort of host and guest, and so most of them are always hungry for new perspectives and angles. And again, startup founders make wonderful guests for those, and they probably need you more than you actually need them. So again, another mechanism to spread that message and to start to build some messaging that people are hearing over and over in a variety of different channels. So webinars, again, a great. And again, as we go through this kind of list of 10, like all of these are free. All of these are things that you can personally do with little or no technical or sort of economic means or extra skill sets. Number 7, team up with adjacent and complementary products. I already kind of mentioned this a little bit with podcasts and webinars, but there is, for most SaaS founders, there is a stack that you're going to go into. And so look at that stack and how people use your product next to other products or other products that your ICP is using in some similar contexts. So oftentimes if you reach out to those other SaaS products, again, they're happy to involve you in some of their marketing efforts, specifically videos, podcasts, webinars, again, where it is useful and valuable to them to have some interesting perspectives or to introduce something to their audience that's going to kind of keep them engaged and keep coming back so that they don't have to just constantly pitch their product, right? So look for some of those partners, some of those team ups. If you're in a VC group or some sort of incubator, also kind of look around in that space. There are probably some other founders where you can do some collaborations, and those can be really effective. Number 8, create a list and compare your product to competitors. This is primarily a suggestion that goes sort of hand in hand with SEO and content as you're starting to build a website of some sort, or it could be even in your Substack email list. A lot of times founders and early stage startups kind of put their head in the sand as it pertains to competitors, and they don't really talk about them. But whether you have competitors, in front of you or around you that are creating some market, that's a good thing, right? When there's one or more competitors, that means there's a market for what you're selling, and there's an audience, and there's some buyers, and those sorts of things. But one of the things that's really important is if there is that kind of initial market or demand, the moment you put a comparison list out there, you're going to find this kind of a little SEO secret, and I've used it over and over again. If you put a comparison list, you will often kind of shoot to the first page, and you will be inside of what tends to be a fairly uncompetitive, believe it or not, space in SEO and SERP, search engine results pages, because a lot of people don't do those lists and they don't compare them. So you can get into or create your own list of the 10 best X products or the 5 best ways to do this. So any sort of comparison, one, it's going to be really high intent. It's going to be low in that funnel because people are starting to compare things to actually make a buying decision. So they're going to be great leads. Again, you're going to find out that for the most part, there's probably low competition there. And then you get, of course, to control the list. And some people might think, oh, if I put myself in the list, then it won't be credible. You'll be shocked. Nobody really pays attention to that. So go ahead and build that list. The other objection I often hear here is, well, we're actually showing our competitors. Well, guess what? You're going to be alongside competitors when people are searching for comparisons anyway. So why not, to some degree, control that message? And then the last thing I would leave you with for this tip, a little bit deeper tip, but it is like guaranteed moneymaker lead generator tip, is be genuine, right? So you're probably going to do something like pros and cons or strengths and weaknesses. Don't be disingenuous, right? That will ruin your credibility. Try to be honest and accurate. Usually if you're multiple people in the market, you probably serve slightly different needs in that marketplace. So be truthful and do a good list, and you will reap the benefits of that, and you will get a bunch of leads out of that. Number 9, create playbooks. And inside of this playbook, obviously include yourself as a product or service that can help execute the playbook. So when I talk about playbooks, again, most of the ICPs, well, I guess all the ICPs that you would serve are trying to accomplish something, right? They're trying to do something in the market. And obviously, hopefully, your tool, your product or your service helps to accomplish some business objective. Go ahead and write the playbook for that. Write a playbook on how to achieve a certain business objectives, and you can do multiple. Whatever that business objective is, you lay out kind of the step by step. Again, like a playbook. If you played any sort of sports, there's a playbook of all the different plays that you can run in order to accomplish something, a goal probably, or something like that. So go ahead and do the same thing. So write out a couple of different ways that you could help them accomplish that business objective or goal. And then, of course, insert your product or service that can help them inside of that playbook. And then, again, SEO strategy, offer that online, because lots of times people love a shortcut and they're looking for a playbook or some easy way to accomplish something. So if you publish that playbook, again, a lot of times people forget about this. There's low competition, but you will be kind of the easy button. You will be the prepackaged solution for the problem that they're trying to solve. And then, of course, your product or service is a component of being successful in that execution. And number 10, the last one here, is probably the most important of all of these, and that is just simply be consistent and frequent in whatever it is that you're doing. And for the most part, that means publishing or putting yourself out into the marketplace and showcasing your expertise and the things that you know how to do, and the things that your product can do, and of course the business objectives that you're helping your ICP accomplish in a really effective and efficient way. If possible, that means publishing daily or weekly, or some regular frequent cadence. Like I said, ideally daily. You can do a LinkedIn post, or you can do a Twitter post without a lot of effort, and then you can do some longer form and some video and those sorts of things on maybe a weekly basis. So again, ideally get something published daily. At the minimum, put yourself out there weekly and try to create a regular cadence so people will kind of plug into you. One last note, I also advocate creating a finite content framework. This is really important. A lot of times people will try to boil the ocean with like everything they ever think about. Try to constrain yourself into something that's very specific, as tight, as niched as you can be, so that you, in your marketing effort and your content effort, can start to create some density around the specific thing that you can do. And again, just do it and show it in so many different ways that you are the owner of the expertise and the knowledge to accomplish that. Well, if you want to focus on building your product and leave the demand generation to us, I encourage you to visit BillRiceStrategy.com, because we do all of these sorts of things for you and help that sales and marketing effort give you that initial traction that you need. Again, please like and subscribe, and you'll see more of this in the future.